What have you been rolling in? What have you been rolling in? You're stinking. Hi folks, Max Muir here. Out on Tally's Treks again, and we've just been testing our recall in and around this area there. She's rolling in some putrid stuff here, so I'm going to be covered in it at the end of the day. As Tally's recall training has progressed beautifully, here, atta girl, very mischievous dog. As our training has progressed, immensely actually, over recent times, she's getting much more off-lead work than she's getting online work, and that's quite important. What I thought I would talk about is some real don'ts to your recall, stuff that can damage your recall down the line. And a lot of that has to do with the human and dog relationship, how we interact with our dog. Now, when you begin, I'm not that keen on the saying, if your dog doesn't have a recall, it shouldn't be off lead, because to test and proof an off lead recall, your dog has to be off lead. It's as simple as that. What you do is work your way through reliability with your responses, and you start to choose your ground carefully with where you're going to test those responses. Carefully being the key word here. And that takes some scouting. Do some scouting reports, choose your ground well, familiarize yourself with the ground on the long line first, before you decide, you know what, this is a good place to test my recall. She's down in that ditch over there, and she's going to be manky in no time. Hey Tally. Some don'ts. Once you have some reliability on the long line, and you may have some reliability when the dog is free in certain environments, but you're not going to be successful 10 out of 10. That's, if there's anything that's a certainty, that's it. So you have to carefully choose your ground. But what not to do? One, you're going to get latent responses. All that means is you're going to get delayed behaviors, delayed responses to your recall. Now, they can range from seconds to minutes. If your dog's disappearing and you're losing it altogether and it's gone 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, then you haven't made a good choice in choosing your ground. When your dog eventually comes back to you, don't lose the plot with your dog. Don't bring your frustration, your anger, or your temper into play. Don't roughhouse the dog. What you'll find is, even though in some circumstances your dog may come back to you, it may stand off that extra 3-4 yards, and that can be difficult to get the dog back on the lead. It's made a negative association with coming back to you, or certainly coming in really close to you. So don't lose the plot with your dog. You've decided to test the behavior. It's your responsibility to choose the ground where you're going to test that. Don't allow the wrong emotions to come into play, because that will destroy your recall like a cancer. It will really rip through it, and we really don't want that to happen. Without saying anything, don't roughhouse your dog. Don't grab your dog by the collar and shake it about or anything like that. Also, don't reward the dog as such. Give feedback. Don't pour treats on the ground and reward the dog if it's off for 3 minutes, even if it looks up and ignores you. You should have, through your progressive training, you should have reward markers and non-reward markers. You should be able to tell a dog when it's making a mistake, when it's veering off track, when it's doing something that you don't want. Those behaviors, more importantly, should be marked, as well as the behaviors that you're marking for a reward. That's very important. So you do want to make the recall such a positive experience. The first 2 to 3 times that you let your dog off lead in not a new area, but an area that you've been familiarizing yourself to, desensitizing the dog to, finding out yourself what's in that area, that's very important. But you are going to experience latency. You are going to experience delayed response, and how we feel about that affects how we behave towards it. We are our thoughts are our behavior, and it's very important that we align our emotions or emotions with at what we're doing at that point in the training. It's really, really important. And also, don't allow prolonged amounts of time off lead. You'll tell by your dog's behavior if it's really amped up. Hello, darling. If it's really amped up and ready to go, if there's birds in the area or just whatever your dog's drawn towards, make the choice. Not today. Not today. So management is a successful part of deciding when to test your recall and when not to. A lot of people will say reward the dog if it comes back anyway. I don't. I don't want to reward any bad habits or anything like that, but heart and soul. Pour your heart and soul into engaging with the dog. Build that up through your training. Really motivate your dog. Praise is not enough. Praise is not enough when your dog's in a rich habitat and it's hunting. It's not near enough. You have to dig deep, because you're a dog trainer. If you own a dog, you have to dig deep in terms of becoming creative, but also in establishing your rules and your boundaries and rules for daily living with your dog. But the main thing is really, it's okay to let your dog know that you're not happy with the response, but do not lose the plot. Do not have uncontrolled emotions, because those are the biggest deterrent to your dog's progress in its training. So just a couple of pointers there, what not to do with a recall. The choice is yours, but that choice should be, when you're taking a risk assessment of a place, it should be a carefully calculated risk rather than chancing it. And if you chance it in a rich environment, in a rich habitat, you're likely to lose. Tally, here. She was just focused on something over in the woods there. And having close quarter control, can you do this? Can you go to a rich environment and just hang out with the dog? Will your dog stay around you? Do you have that close quarter control? Does your dog want to be with you? That's equally important, that you build that relationship. Filming never goes to plan when you're with a dog, so you know what? You just go with the flow. The dog's the main thing in the picture here anyway. But before you go off lead in certain areas, if you have a hunter, or if you have a dog that goes that distance from you, quite a distance, by that I mean 100 yards plus, depending on the environment or deep cover that you're in. Even 50 yards can be enough for some people. You really have to work at that. You really have to have that close quarter control, and we have to learn some skills. We have to upskill, and don't skip. Do not skip. Do not fear going back to the line. Do not fear using the line in certain places. There's a whole new skill set when it comes to using the long line. Tally was on the long line for 10 months before she got off lead anywhere, and now I have 3 to 4 locations, rich places like this, where she can get off lead and enjoy a quality of life. But I have a good degree of reliability with that, and that's what we all strive for, that reliability. So that's my thoughts for today on what not to do
to keep your dog's recall progressing and not sliding backwards. This is Max Muir, Action for Dogs. Have a great day, folks.